What did Jehu do to the brethren of Ahaziah, king of Judah? This is the question we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of 2 Kings on walking through the Bible.
The glory of his cross.
Today we're going to be discussing 2 Kings chapter 10, verses 12 to 17. But before we do that, let's read the passage. If you have a Bible with you, you can turn to 2 Kings chapter 10, verse 12. But if you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So 2 Kings chapter 10, beginning of verse 12. And he arose and departed and went to Samaria. On the way at Beth-eked of the shepherds, Jehu met with the brothers of Ahaziah, king of Judah, and said, "Who are you?" So they answered, "We are the brothers of Ahaziah. We have come down to greet the sons of the king and the sons of the queen mother." And he said, "Take them alive." So they took them alive and killed them at the well of Beth-eked, 42 men, and he left none of them. Now when he departed from there, he met Jehonadab, the son of Rechab, coming to meet him. And he greeted him and said to him, "Is your heart right, as my heart is toward your heart?" And Jehonadab answered, "It is." Jehu said, "If it is, give me your hand." So he gave him his hand, and he took him up into the chariot. Then he said, "Come with me and see my zeal for the Lord." So they had him ride in his chariot. And when he came to Samaria, he killed all who remained to Ahab in Samaria, till he had destroyed them according to the word of the Lord, which he spoke to Elijah. In the last two chapters, we have been seeing Jehu bring down the judgments of the Lord against the house of Ahab. We have been noting a couple of things. First of all, it was the Lord's will that the house of Ahab be punished. Ahab and Jezebel were especially wicked monarchs in Israel who not only brought in Baal worship, but murdered numerous innocents, including Naboth and his children, along with many of the prophets of God. Jehoram, the second son of Ahab to rule in Israel, was not much better, for though he cut down a pillar of Baal that his parents had erected, he still allowed the worship of the idols at Dan and Bethel, idols that the Lord had despised since they were erected in the days of Jeroboam. So, because of his sins, Jehoram deserved to be judged, just as the entire house of Ahab did. But just because that was so, doesn't mean that all methods used by Jehu were necessarily approved by God, nor does that mean that Jehu didn't exceed his mandate. Jehu killed Jehoram personally, but privately commanded others to kill the sons of Ahab, meaning his direct heirs, and bring Jehu their heads. He used this incident not only to show Israel that there must be others besides himself who were unhappy with the house of Ahab, thus absolving himself of any charges of treason on his own, but to show that the word of the Lord would come to pass regardless, seeing as how the Lord was against the house of Ahab due to all her sins. This statement must have struck fear into Israel's heart, for it did allow Jehu to go beyond his mandate and kill everyone in the court of Ahab who remained, something done in order to secure his position on the throne, and something done without any opposition or pushback. This last part will become important for when we get to our study of Hosea, so please take note of it. Jehu isn't done, however. Leaving Jezreel, Jehu begins to travel south towards Samaria. Now on our map, we're shown Jehu's route, and for a moment you might think that Jehu is traveling in a strange direction until you look at the terrain of the land. Just as we have roads and paths to travel on, so did the people of Jehu's day, and so Jehu would have been simply traveling down the roads and paths available to him at the time to get from Jezreel to Samaria. Along the way, Jehu came to a place known as Beth-eked, where he ran into the brothers of Ahaziah, king of Judah. Now when we get to 2 Chronicles, we're going to find out that these can't be the literal brothers of Ahaziah, for there we will learn that all the sons of Jehoram, Ahaziah's father, were carried away by the Philistines and the Arabians. Thus, the use of the word brothers must be being used more broadly to mean relatives like nephews. Regardless, when Jehu meets them, he asks them who they are and where they are going, to which they respond that they are the brothers of Ahaziah and have come to greet the sons of the king and the sons of the queen mother. Now this response seems strange, for either they are telling the truth and thus know nothing of Jehu's conspiracy, or they are lying and are trying to evade Jehu's capture by feigning ignorance of the conspiracy. Let's deal quickly with both possibilities. Why would it be strange that they are telling the truth and know nothing of the conspiracy? Because of the sheer number of them coming down to supposedly see Jehoram. Now yes, Jehoram had been injured in battle, but 42 princes coming down at once is highly suspicious and obviously seems so to Jehu as well. What could be happening, however, is that Ahaziah had heard of the unrest in Israel, for remember, Jehoram is her brother, and thus she sent these men down to provide assistance. When they ran into an armed force stronger than their own in Jehu, however, they feigned ignorance in order that they might escape. Now yes, this is speculation on my part, and so take it as you will. But what we do know is that Jehu found their actions suspicious, and so he had them killed because of who they were. Unless we think that this is another example of Jehu exceeding his mandate, 2 Chronicles would strongly suggest that this was part of Jehu's calling to punish the house of Ahab, as Ahaziah's nephews would be from the house of Ahab through Athaliah. So Jehu, having killed these 42 men, continued on towards Samaria, and along the way runs into a man named Jehonadab, the son of Rechab. Jehu asked this man if his heart was right as Jehu's heart is towards this man. In other words, he was asking if Jehonadab was approving of Jehu's actions, to which Jehonadab says that he was. Jehu wanted assurance, and so told Jehonadab to give him his hand and come up into the chariot so that he could come with him to see Jehu's zeal for the Lord. Jehonadab agreed, and together they went to Samaria, where Jehu killed all who remained of Ahab's house, there according to the word that the Lord had spoken through Elijah. Now, seeing as how he had already killed 70 sons of Ahab earlier in the chapter, this likely meant that Jehu killed all of the female relatives of Ahab in Samaria, thus totally devastating the lineage of Ahab in the north. Believe it or not, though, Jehu is still not done. There is more, and so we invite you back for that, the Lord willing, in the next lesson. With that, our time is up for today. The Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of 2 Kings chapter 10, verses 18 to 36. We continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time.
Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends, so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.